Though much is taken, much abides. And though we are not now that strength which in old days moved earth and heaven, that which we are, we are. One equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Sun's out, guns out. I wrote that one. That wasn't Tennyson, that was me. No, I wrote the Sun's Out, Guns Out, not the Ulysses poem. Mine's better because it's brevity's the soul of wit, right? Sun's out, guns out. Boom, you just get it out there, do it. Today we've got a Model 28 Highway Patrolman Smith and Wesson. Extremely cool, extremely nickel plated. It's got these great Smith and Wesson target grips, square butt from the factory. These fit my hand so beautifully, fit so well. Love the way these feel. They look good. The wood to wood fit is not perfect there, but that's okay. It's fine. This is, gosh, I don't know how old this one is. I'd say it's probably a late 70s gun. I've always liked the end frames. I've liked the Highway Patrolman. This is the first time I messed with one that's nickel plated. Oh, it's got a little dust on it. Let me tell you, that nickel plate will show up every little speck of dust on a gun. But yeah, it's hard to appreciate how big this thing is. It's an end frame. And I need to have like a J frame and a K frame to show you next to it, but I don't. I have a Ruger Super Wrangler. So when we look at these side by side, I think we can appreciate that the Smith is quite a bit bigger. This end frame really is a big chunk of steel. And I can see why it was comforting back in the day to have this on your hip, and why it was also a burden. People didn't want to carry this all day and they wanted something smaller. But yeah, we're gonna put it through its paces. 4-inch barrel, 357 Magnum, of course, and I'll be shooting 38 special loads because I'm a sissy. Also because they're cheaper. I don't have a huge amount of money. Ammo's expensive, guys. Anyway, we're gonna try this out on the range today and see how it goes. All right, it's worth noting this is a pinned and recessed gun. The barrel has this little pin through it. I don't know if that shows up on camera, but it runs through both sides. And what Smith and Wesson did was thread this barrel into the frame and then drive a pin through to hold it in place, to keep it from twisting out. Okay, so it's worth noting this is a pinned and recessed gun. The barrel was screwed in at Smith and Wesson, and then they drove in this little pin, and it's visible from both sides of the frame. But that pin is there to keep the barrel from unscrewing, and they figured out eventually that they didn't really need it. The torque of the barrel would keep it in place, and so they stopped pinning these, I don't know, early 80s, about 81, something like that. And this one is also recessed, which means that the chambers have this little recessed bit so the cartridges fit flush in there. There's no part of this that's sticking up. So when this is closed, you don't really see the cartridges in there. There's not much of a clue from the outside whether the gun is loaded or not. You can just kind of barely, yeah, you can see it's a little bit of brass there, but not much. Also worth noting that on these nickel plated guns, the ejector star is not nickeled, it's left blued. Anyway, kind of some interesting details on an old Smith. Let's shoot it. You ready? I'm gonna shoot single action. Wind is blowing smoke in my face. Let's go have a look at the target. Okay, I'm definitely going to call this a flyer. I knew as soon as I pulled the trigger that one was no good. But the rest of these, to my mind, represent the true grouper is about as well as I can do under these conditions. These sights are silver colored. I insisted on getting a white piece of paper up here so I could see the sights contrasted against them. Only now I realize, man, these silver sights just about disappear against that white sheet of paper. So I was aiming down here, getting a sight picture where I got, you know, some contrast, and then I was raising the sights and firing. I want to try this again, and I'll probably just stick a target dot over here somewhere so I can have a darker background. Let's try 6 more. Okay, we're gonna try 6 more. Distance to target is about 14 yards, and it was last time also. I put up a second target dot up there at which I can shoot. I guess it's worth mentioning these chambers are recessed. That was a common way to do revolvers back in the day. It gave more support to the case head. Anymore, that's not really important, but back in the days of balloon head cases when they weren't so solid, that helped prevent a blowout. It helped prevent a case head separation or rupture of the case head. And nowadays, I mean, that's why Smith doesn't do it anymore. It adds expense and it doesn't really add any utility, although it is kind of cool. I love these old recessed chambers, and I love the way cartridges fit down there so precisely. They sit flush with the cylinder face. Ammo today, if I didn't mention, is Winchester White Box, 130 grain, full metal jacket or full metal case. Just plain Jane target ammo, nothing special. Take a look. And our hits in no particular order: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One of these two, I'd love to take credit for that. I jerked the trigger on that, and when I see me shake my head, I was sure that I had thrown that shot really low. I didn't. It's good, but you know, totally decent group. That's not a problem at 14 yards. This old gun still shoots really well, obviously. I don't necessarily shoot it that well, but I mean, this is a lot better than this. So I'll definitely take it. This has a really excellent single action trigger, which we'd expect from an old Smith. Many of these are true surprise breaks. I get my sights on the target, put my finger on the trigger, and I don't know exactly when it's going to fire. It just goes bang, and obviously the proof is here. It's a good group. I want to try shooting this double action. Now, the double action trigger on this is not nearly so good, but we're going to see if I can hit anything. Okay, we're at the same 14 yards, give or take. Double action this time. I have a new target dot put up. Heavy trigger. Now what you thinking? Did he fire 5 or 6? No, it was 6. It was 6. All right, and our hits in no particular order are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow, that's really excellent. This is heavy. This double action trigger is heavy. And yet I can't argue with these results. The results are terrific. So even though I don't enjoy the experience of shooting this trigger, I take a deep breath. And I'm holding my breath while I'm on target. I'm squeezing, and I'm just about to run out of breath. In spite of that, I mean, the group is really good. Smith obviously knew what they were doing when they made this one. This is kind of like those gold heritage guns. You can see this nickel, boy, even after what, 18 rounds, shows all this fouling. The front sight, if you like a blackened front sight, hey, I got good news for you. Start shooting a little bit and you'll have one. So that's gonna have to be cleaned. Got some fouling here, some blackening on the frame as well. But Yeah, I mean, results on target are excellent. I'm awfully happy with it. Feels good. Single action trigger feels great. Double action feels terrible, but it works. Guys, if you get the chance to shoot one of these old Smiths, they're still terrific. They were terrific 50 years ago. They're terrific now. Keep your powder dry.